Hello and welcome to the Freelance Festival, where each week we meet new business owners who share their expertise on how to run a successful business. This week, business coach Mark Harris will be giving you tips on how to kill a buffalo. Thankfully, he only means the metaphorical kind, as it's all actually about how to identify and approach new clients.
Hello and welcome to the next session of the Freelance Festival. I'm delighted to have been offered the opportunity to speak to you today. My name is Mark Harris. I am the Enterprise Doctor and I do mentoring and coaching for small businesses. My definition of the word small is solopreneurs and sort of 2 to 5 employees, maybe up to 10. I ran an office stationery company, ran and then sold an office stationery company through the 90s. Built that up to 1.4 million and then turnover and then sold it. So that's the kind of scale that I understand, and small businesses have the kind of problems that I understand. I've been running Enterprise Doctor for 10 years. I probably should know how many people I've helped, but it's lots. So that's sort of where I'm coming from with this. And how to kill a buffalo, which is the subject of my video today. You'll be delighted to know that I'm not going to tell you how to kill a buffalo. Well, I sort of am, but that's not what this is about. What this is about is defining your ideal prospect, how to put yourself in front of them, and to do that in an effective way. And perhaps most importantly, because it is the point, how to change them from being a prospect into being a customer. And when I'm done, there will be the opportunity for a Q&A. So if you wanted to throw some really challenging questions at me, I'm really happy for you to do that. So let's talk first of all about killing a buffalo. If you want to kill a buffalo, the first thing you need to do is identify your target. What does it look like? And what are its habits? And one of the habits of a buffalo is that every evening at dusk, it will go to a watering hole, its favorite watering hole, before it beds down for the night. So if you go to its watering hole and just sort of hang around, eventually your buffalo will turn up because that's what he does. And what are you going to do then? I'm afraid you're going to shoot it between the eyes, because that's how you kill a buffalo. Now, clearly, that's not why we're here today, to learn how to kill a buffalo. What we're here today to talk about, as I said, is acquiring customers. But the first question that you need to ask yourselves is, what does my buffalo look like? Who is my perfect customer? Who is my perfect prospect who might one day turn into a customer? There are people out there who say, I can sell to everybody. If you're selling fish and chips, yep, you can sell to everybody. But actually, you can't, because you can only sell to everybody fairly local, and only people who like fish and chips and who can afford a takeaway are within your customer target. So never really like the I can sell to everybody. What you really need to do is pin down what your avatar, to use a posh marketing word, what your avatar looks like. What's the person that you're looking for? If you're a young lady hoping to get married, you're looking for Mr. Right. If you don't know what Mr. Right looks like, then you're not going to recognize him when he floats by. And in business, if you don't know what your prospect looks like, you're not going to recognize them when they float by. So you need to have a clear image in your head of what do they look like. So to use me as an example, as I already said, I'm looking for clients who are solopreneurs, people running small businesses. I know what they look like. And clearly, I don't mean looks. They could be older, young, male, female, whatever. But I know the characteristics of those people. For you, if you're a hairdresser, I'm not your buffalo. I don't spend anything on hairdressing. Thank you very much. I wish I did, but those days are gone. So, what you need to do is think about who are your customers, and you maybe write that down. Could be a good thing to do. Defining your buffalo is really important because then not only do you recognize them, but you recognize people who aren't your buffalo. And I wouldn't in any way advocate you're being rude to people and saying, go away, you have no interest in me. But actually, in a nice way, you need to say that. There's been many a networking event that I've been at, and somebody's and you remember those days when you were allowed to shake somebody's hand at a networking event? Somebody's shaking my hand and I say, oh, and what do you do? And they've said, I'm a banker. Now, with apologies to the bankers and finance people listening, nothing wrong with bankers. For me, the chances of a banker spending money with me, not going to happen. They're not my buffalo. When they say, I run a small marketing agency, it's just me, that's my buffalo. When they say I'm a driving instructor and I work for myself, that's my buffalo. When they say I'm a micro. So you need to recognize and latch onto your buffaloes wherever it is you're meeting them, which I shall come on to in a minute. You can have more than one. You can have a buffalo and an antelope and a lion. So, however you want to phrase them, however you want to define them or whatever names you want to give them. But there can be, if there are different strands to your business, there can be different buffaloes for each strand of the business. But so long as you know what it is that you're looking for, then you're in with a good chance of closing some business with them. There's a very old expression, if you build it, and that used to be said about websites. You've got a business, got to have a website, and if you build it, they will come. Gone. In the days where there were 37 websites in the world, it might have been true, but then nobody could come. It's just so much noise out there. So if you build it and tell them about it, then they'll come. Except, you know what? They won't. And if you build it and tell them 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 and tell them, well, then they might come, but they might think you're just a bit of a pain and a bit of a nag. So maybe they'll try and avoid you. So if that's not the way forward, then what is the way forward? And if you can't make them come to you, then you've got to go to them. But where are you going to go to them? You could go to their website and send them an email that says, hey, this is me, this is what I do. I get lots of emails from people like that, and they don't really interest me. I'm sort of guessing that that's in the same way. What you need to do, I'm sure you will be unsurprised to hear, is identify the watering hole of your buffalo. And then you go to that watering hole and sort of hang around. And sure enough, your buffalo will turn up. And rest assured, I won't be advocating any shooting between the eyes. We'll be talking a little bit later about the analogy that is. But if you're there and they turn up, you can then engage with them. So what do I mean by a watering hole? Where is their watering hole? Well, I want to suggest a couple of places, and I am going to mention some brand names, but this is not a brand specific thing. They're just examples. So the first one I want to mention is BNI. BNI, if you haven't heard of BNI, then I don't know what rock you've been hiding under. BNI is often described as a Marmite organization. You either love it or you hate it. And I'm not even going to tell you which is the case with me because it's of no relevance. BNI attracts a particular sort of people. If you go back a little bit, it was a lot of tradespeople, a lot of builders, painters, decorators, gardeners, electricians, plumbers, roofers, all those kinds of people. And the potential for them to refer business to each other was and still is absolutely huge. I should say before ardent BNIers jump in and give me a hard time, that has changed. It's still very much the case, but in addition to those people, you do get the professions, you get solicitors and accountants and PR people, marketing people, web designers, business advisors, and all sorts of other people as well. And interestingly, people do in the room. So the watering hole of people's prospective clients is that room, but it's the whole referral, the selling through the room. So you don't necessarily need to go to the watering hole where your prospect will be, but if you go to a watering hole where you can get suitable introductions and stuff like that. So BNI is a proven success for that. It's moderately expensive, depending on what you call expensive. Renew their membership year after year after year because they get a return on that investment. Let's talk about something called Business Biscotti. Business Biscotti has sort of gone into hibernation since the lockdown, but if we talk about it pre-lockdown, it was an informal networking group, £99 a year, 3 or 4 quid at the door to buy a coffee. Who does that attract? That is a watering hole. Who does it attract? It attracts people for whom the £99 a year is an attractive price, as opposed to, using round numbers, 1,000, 1,100 for BNI. So it's a little bit of a different place to go. And what sort of people might those be? A lot of solopreneurs, a lot of people who haven't got a lot of money to spend on marketing, a lot of people who are perhaps at the beginning of their business journey. Their businesses are relatively new, but there were lots of people like that. So who was a member? Why was I a member? Because I defined my buffalo, and that's where my buffaloes were. Let me tell you an organisation that I wasn't a member of, and I'm still not a member of, and that's the Institute of Directors, the IOD. So why am I a member of that? Absolutely nothing against the IOD. Fabulously successful organisation, been going 100 or more years, I have no idea. There's an awful lot of people out there who are members and who have benefited from membership. So why aren't I a member? It's because the clue's in the name, the Institute of Directors. The members are directors, the level membership, but the main membership is sort of 300 or 400 quid a year. And I believe that there are a lot of people who are directors of businesses turning over 500,000, 1 million, 2 million, 5 million, 10 million, that kind of scale. Their directors are members of the IOD. They're not my buffaloes. Why do I want to pay the membership? I would pay whatever the membership fee is, within reason, if that's where I was going to find my buffalo. That's not my buffalo. Is it yours? If it is yours, if you want to talk to the finance director, the marketing director, the whatever director of a company turning over 2, 3, 5 million to help them with their IT infrastructure, to help them turn their 5 million business into a 10 million business, whatever it is that's relevant to your business, then you should be. You need to just go back, think about who your buffalo is. Where is it that they go for their watering hole? And then you turn up and you hang around and they turn up. And if they don't say, hi, haven't seen you before, who are you? Then you can say, hi, haven't seen you before, who are you? That's what happens in networking meetings. I would say to people who run and attend all of the other face-to-face groups, I'm sorry I haven't named you all. I am going to throw 2 others in though. One is Chambers of Commerce. And Chambers of Commerce, wherever you are in the country, whether they're independent or part of a larger group of chambers, which is often the case, they have one key thing, which is the word local. They have a local focus. So if you want to do business with local businesses, if that's your buffalo, well, where's their watering hole? and local businesses go to the local chamber of commerce so that they can interact with other local businesses. And yeah, they want to sell to you, but they might also want to buy from you. You never know until you have the conversation. And the other one I really do want to mention is the Federation of Small Businesses. They're not a networking group, they're a lobbying group, and they have all sorts of membership benefits and stuff. Lovely organization, like them a lot. But they do run some networking events, and the word small is in there. Now, by their definition, that's up to 249 employees, but from my experience, it's small businesses. It's a lot of solopreneurs, 2 to 5 employees, 10, maybe 20, but that's the kind of scale. So if that's your Buffalo, the FSB is where you want to be. And I tell you, the really good way of finding out where the watering hole is for your Buffalo, ask them. If your Buffaloes are accountants, you sell services to accountants, you sell whatever to accountants, calculators, who knows? Speak to some accountants that you already deal with and ask them, where do they go? What networking groups are they involved with? There's all sorts of watering holes you might never have heard of. And let's not forget conferences, seminars, industry forums, all those kinds of things are out there as well. However, right now, as we're recording this, and probably while you're watching it as well, there is this rather unpleasant thing called the virus, the pandemic, the lockdown. The face-to-face networking are long gone. Pretty much all of those organizations are doing online stuff. It's not as good. It's good, but it's not as good. It's still a watering hole. You can still meet your Buffalo there, and you can do it with no travel time, no travel cost, and drink coffee you actually like instead of whatever they give you at what would have been a venue. So don't discount those. And that does neatly, almost as though I'd planned it, move me to the subject of online. And online networking in the first place, all of those, everything I've said goes for online, except that, you know, like I say, there's financial and time benefits of it being online. What about LinkedIn? Do you know what? I really like LinkedIn. It drives me crazy. There are things about it that drive me crazy, and there are things about it, anything in life that will drive me crazy. What I love about LinkedIn is it's pretty much the go-to place for business people. If you find a business person who isn't on LinkedIn, then, well, you know, I don't want to be disparaging because you might not be, but I'd be really interested to know the reason you're not on LinkedIn. There's Facebook, there's Twitter, there's Instagram, there's TikTok. See, I might be nearly old, but even I've heard of TikTok. Well, which of those is best for you? You often hear it said, I can't be doing with Instagram and Twitter and this and this and this. There's just not enough hours in the day to do all that social media stuff. Absolutely agree. And my question, and the question you should be asking yourself, is not which one is best for you. The question is which one or ones, because you don't have to limit yourself to one, which ones are the watering holes that your Buffaloes use? So if you want to sell to the managing directors of businesses which are turning over £1 to £3 million, that's your Buffalo. If you start investing heavily in advertising in TikTok, then I'll look you in the eye and tell you you're wasting your money. If you sell clothes for 14-year-olds, TikTok most certainly is the place to be because that's where the 14-year-old Buffaloes go. So you need to be thinking about it. You need to be thinking about which online watering hole is the best one for you. And I have talked about engaging with the Buffalo and having that little conversation. And that's really the final part. So you need to define your Buffalo, you need to go to its watering hole. And the third part is that you need to shoot it between the eyes. And clearly, I'm not going to encourage you to shoot anybody or anything between the eyes. What you need to do is close the deal. You need to close the customer. You need to turn that prospect into a customer. One of my favorite three-letter abbreviations is KLT. KLT is short for know, like, trust. People are not randomly going to walk up to you and give you money. And if they do, then you need to be. In the world of business, three things have to happen before they will give you money. They need to know you, they need to like you, and they need to trust you. If we go back to visiting buffaloes at the watering hole, that's the K, that's the no bit. There are people out there who have absolutely no idea who I am. You, watching this video until today, quite possibly had absolutely no idea who I am. You are probably here because you're a freelancer, because it's the Freelance Festival, so hey. So you are my buffalo, and now you know me. So I have moved you, my prospect, along by going to your watering hole, which is this festival. When I approached Freelance Festival, I knew they were my watering hole and they're going to attract buffaloes here. So I'm not just preaching this, I practice what I preach. So you need to get to those watering holes so that people know you. You then need to make them like you. That sounds really needy. And what should happen in business is every penny you spend should be spent with the supplier who's going to give you the best quality product or service combined with an appropriate price in the right time scale, all those criteria. And you know how people choose a supplier? They choose who they like. And if there's two or three different possible suppliers that they like, then they look at price and quality and stuff. And you know what? I've got people I'd love to do business with because I really like them, but they just can't give me what I need at the right price. Like is very important though. It's about the way you make people like you is by fitting in, by being like them. And if you're a fat old businessman like me, it doesn't mean you can only do business with fat old businessmen. That's not what I mean. What I mean is you need to behave in a way that makes people feel comfortable talking with you, being with you, spending time with you, because if they're going to invest in you and buy your product, your services, then they're going to be spending some time with you. So you know what? I had a shave earlier. I ironed a shirt because I wanted to look like the person that I look like right now. And you know what I didn't do today? I didn't put a tie on because that's not the person that I think you various buffaloes want to do business with, the guy in the tie. I think you want to do business with a more relaxed guy in the open neck shirt. So you need to make people like you in a range of different ways. Humor, I've thrown in a few funnies here and there, a few asides that hopefully made you smile. Humor makes people like other people is a really useful tool. Not necessarily telling jokes, but throwing in a bit of humour, engaging. And for me, the most important bit of engaging is listening. If I say to you, tell me anything about yourself, and clearly those aren't the words, but I ask some good, interesting, probing questions to dig into you and your business, and then allow you to speak, and I listen. And my next question is based on what you just said, because I was properly listening. That makes you like me, and that moves you along the know, like, trust journey. We then move on to trust. Trust is really, really hard to engender. If you're selling a product, it's much easier to develop trust because you can have product reviews, you can have photographs of it, you can have a money back guarantee that this microphone and it doesn't work, then you can send it back and you get your money back. So the level of, you need to trust that I will honor the guarantee, but you don't actually need to trust the product, because the worst that happens is you send it back. If you're selling a service, then it's much, much harder. I'm selling mentoring and coaching. It's very intangible. So how I get you to trust me is a much harder and longer process. What you need to do is to make people aware, make your buffaloes aware that you have the knowledge that they need. If you want to buy this microphone, I need to talk to you about decibels and woofers and tweeters, and I know nothing about microphones, so I can't even bullshit you about that. And that's why I don't sell microphones. What I sell is mentoring and coaching, and I'm knowledgeable about those things. I understand how they work, why they work. I got lots of practice doing it. So I impress my buffaloes with my knowledge and experience, and you need to do the same for your buffaloes. Recommendations are fabulous, whether it's products or services. Recommendations are absolutely key. And as part of my sales process, when I'm talking to one of my buffaloes, I point them at my LinkedIn profile. I point them at the recommendations if they scroll all the way to the bottom of the profile. And that's a really good selling point for me. If you can put testimonials on your website, all of that kind of stuff is going to help people trust you. And absolutely key is that your buffalo understands the benefits to them of dealing with you. They need to be clear that they or their business will be in a better place because they have paid money for your product or service. Whether this has got little flashing lights on it and knobs and buttons, who cares? What I care about is the quality of sound that you're hearing right now, because if it's all crackly and horrible, you will think less of me. And if it's lovely and rounded and deep and very radio DJ kind of sound, then you may think better of me. And neither a crackly sound nor a deep and rounded sound reflects at all on the quality of mentoring and coaching I do, but it creates the impression, and you need to create impression that you're going to be able to deliver a good service. The last thing that I want to touch on is selling, which is part of the clearly is the key point about closing the deal. Lots of people are frightened of selling. Don't be frightened of selling, please. My mother used to say that I could sell fridges to Eskimos. No, Eskimos don't need fridges, and I would really struggle to come up with some reasons that they should buy a fridge, maybe to keep stuff warm, I don't know. So, that's really hard. But you know what I do have confidence selling is my services. And if somebody out there is struggling with their business, they need some help, then I'm pretty confident that I can help them. So I explain to them that if they engage with me, the nature of the relationship will be this, this, and this. The money would be that, that, and that. And most importantly, the way that they would benefit is this, this, and this. Now, before I can tell them what the benefits are, I need to understand what the problems are. What am I going to cure? I can't say, boy, have I got a cure for you. Really? What's my problem? So you need to engage and understand the challenges that your client has. They get crappy sound on their laptop. Well, maybe have you thought about a good microphone? And is that selling? Is that icky, tacky, bleh thing called selling? Or is it helping? Is it helping them be better at business, because then when they record something, they'll have a better microphone? And by the way, I don't sell microphones, so I'm not trying to sell you a microphone. Did you see how I put in a little bit of humor there? Trying to make you like me. Who knows? It may even have worked. So you need to focus on the benefits of how their work, how their business will be better. So what I want to do is then throw some stuff at you to wrap up, because you can really easily go away after this video, move on to the next video, never give me or what I've said a second thought, in which case, what was the point of that then? Why were you here? You know, you could have invested your time doing something else, and hopefully you don't have an idea. What I really want you to do is work out who your buffalo is. And as I said, you can have more than one type of prospect, so buffalo or buffaloes. Work out where their watering hole is. Work out how are you going to be at their watering hole, and then when you are there, how are you going to engage with them? How are you going to move them through that know, like, trust journey and close them to become a customer? And be realistic. I give you a written guarantee right now, written guarantee, you are not going to get 100% hit rate. Okay, but you know what? If you get 10%, 2%, if you do enough of it, 2% might be enough. So you need to go through all of those steps and make it happen. I want to finish by talking about a guy called Alan Carr, who's not Alan Carr, the comedian. He's Alan Carr, who wrote a book called Alan Carr's Easy Way to Give Up Smoking. And nearly 27 years ago, I read that and gave up smoking. And you know what? There are 2 steps, and I hope it's not a spoiler, but hey, there are 2 steps to effectively giving up smoking. One is decide to give up smoking, which means really decide to give up smoking. And step 2 is do it. And there were about 47 times that I decided to give up smoking, but I didn't really decide to give up smoking. And then once I decided to give up smoking, and I just did it. So you have a choice right now. You can say, that was really interesting. He was a nice guy, cracked a couple of funny lines. I wonder who the next video is. Or you can just take a minute to write down some of the things that are on that screen right now. Who's your buffalo? Where's their watering hole? How are you going to move them along that know, like, trust journey and turn them into a customer? And in the immortal words of Nike, just do it.